We begin in the Republic of Congo, where President Denis Sassou Nguesso has secured a fifth term in office, according to provisional results announced by the authorities. The 82-year-old leader is said to have won nearly 95% of the votes, extending his more than four-decade grip on power. Officials reported a turnout of over 84%, although observers and opposition figures have questioned the credibility of both the process and the result. Despite the celebrations by supporters, critics say the elections was marred by irregularities, including an internet shutdown and limited opposition participation. Several candidates have rejected the outcome, describing it as neither free or fair, while civil society groups warn the result signals a setback for democratic progress in the oil-rich region and nation. For some who have been discussing these elections right here, it's very worthy to note at the moment that at the moment, it is still legitimate for Nguesso to run for the fifth time, according to the constitution right there. However, it goes to how much democratic traits that we are beginning to absorb. For a lot of other questions are: who sets the standard? Do we go the Western way of two-term 4 years? Is that what we consider a good electoral or leadership process? So that is the question for several African experts and democratic commentators who keep asking the question of how many terms is too much. We've also seen the 82-year-old, and for some of us who are wondering, Africa has a youthful population, and yet we are led by the older politicians or older public office holders. However, we love to point fingers in other climes, in other parts of the world. How old is the President of the United States? How old is the King of the United Kingdom? So these are questions that we must answer. And what is keeping the older politicians in government? Supporters, 84% turnout is absolutely at the moment very much welcomed. And but is it free, fair, and credible? Is the question we should always ask in instances like this. And if it is not, these are those gaps in our political story, in our political journey, that often cause or gives room for military to have even a space to take over governance. And I'm hoping this isn't the case, and it will not be the case. We should democracy, no matter how bad the democratic government is, it is not as bad as a military government. As we have seen it, we've seen military governments that stifle the development of a continent, of a nation. We see in military governments where civil society voices are not heard. The media is also stifled and not allowed to freely communicate and communicate happenings around the country. So there are several benefits as well to a democratic government that we cannot for any reason shortchange. So let us also have democratic ideals that would not get Africans so despondent that we look towards a military government instead. This is some of the issues that we often face in instances like that. Now, still talking about governance and shifting political landscape in Madagascar, interim President Michael Randrianirina is deepening ties with Russia following his rise to power last year. His recent visit to Moscow, at the first by a Malagasy leader in nearly 5 decades, underscores broader strategies to diversify international partnerships and reposition the country geopolitically. This cooperation already spans military training, equipment supply, agriculture, and mineral development. He came to power after a youth-led protest says that the partnership forms a part of a wider refoundation agenda aimed at restoring public trust, tackling corruption, and preparing the country for elections within 2 years. Now, from politics to diplomacy, Nigeria is also strengthening international ties. President Bola Tinubu is on a historic state visit to the United Kingdom, where he was hosted by King Charles III at Windsor Castle. The visit, the first of its kind in nearly 4 decades, is expected to deepen cooperation in trade, investment, defense, and cultural exchange. Beyond the ceremonial welcome, both countries are looking to strengthen economic partnerships, with discussions expected to yield major agreement. The visit also highlights the strong diaspora ties between Nigeria and the UK, as well as shared historic and cultural connections. Turning to regional security, efforts to ease tensions in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are gaining traction after talks with Rwanda in Washington. Both sides have agreed to take coordinated steps aimed at de-escalating tensions and advancing a stalled peace process in the conflict-hit region. The agreement includes commitment to respect sovereignty, withdraw forces from certain areas, and intensify efforts against armed groups. The talks comes amid ongoing accusations that Rwanda supports rebel forces, claims Kigali denies, and marks a renewed push by the United States to stabilize the region. As regional cooperation continues to take shape elsewhere in Kenya, authorities have revived a major railway expansion project that had been stalled for more than 6 years. The multi-billion-dollar project, which is now back on the way this Thursday, aims to extend the line from Naivasha towards the Ugandan border to boost trade and connectivity. The revival follows a shift in financing strategy after earlier funding challenges linked to Chinese loans. Officials say the project will enhance regional commerce and integration, even as debates continue over debt sustainability and infrastructure financing models across Africa. Away from infrastructure and now into social policy, the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, is drawing continental attention with a new workplace policy granting women 2 days of paid menstrual leave each month. The initiative is being praised as a progressive step towards recognizing menstrual health as a legitimate workplace issue. While many employees and health experts have welcomed the policy, citing improved productivity and well-being, some critics warn it could unintentionally affect hiring decisions. Even so, the move is already sparking wider conversations about gender-sensitive workplace reforms across Africa. And finally, in Gabon, the French army has launched a new training program focused on environmental protection for African forces. The initiative brings together military personnel from several countries to address challenges such as illegal mining, deforestation, and ecosystem preservation. The program reflects France's involving military strategy on the continent, shifting from permanent bases to capacity building partnerships. Organizers say the goal is to strengthen regional collaboration and equip African forces with the tools needed to tackle environmental threats that increasingly impact security. And that's it for the African News Update this morning.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show.